March 8, 1944, 10:17 a.m., 25,000 feet over western Germany. The cockpit is a freezer. Frost creeps along the inside of the canopy, spidering outward as the P-47 shudders through thin air. The engine's roar is not a sound so much as a pressure felt in the ribs, in the teeth, in the bones of the aircraft itself. The pilot tightens his grip on the control stick, oxygen mask sealed, gloves stiff, breath loud in his ears. Below him, sunlight glints off rivers and rail lines. Somewhere down there, factories are already burning. Ahead, tiny black crosses, 3 of them, fast, climbing. You can almost feel the moment stretch as both sides see each other at the same time. The German pilots react first. They tilt their wings, not in fear, in confidence. One of them waggles his aircraft slightly, a casual, almost mocking gesture. Another slides into a loose formation, comfortable, practiced. They've done this before, many times, and they know exactly what they're looking at. A Thunderbolt. Big, fat, a flying barrel with wings. In the Luftwaffe mess halls, they have a nickname for it. Some call it Der fette Amerikaner, the fat American. Others are less polite. Compared to the sleek Messerschmitts and razor-edged Focke-Wulfs, the P-47 looks absurd up here. Too heavy, too slow, too clumsy to survive a real dogfight. A ground attack brute pretending to be a fighter. The Germans grin inside their masks. This'll be easy. The American pilot's name is Captain Robert S. Johnson. He doesn't smile back. Johnson is 30 years old, lean behind the bulk of his flight suit, already a veteran of missions that have chewed through squadrons like meat grinders. He has seen friends vanish in fireballs. He has flown home with holes in his wings you could crawl through. He has learned, the hard way, that survival is never guaranteed, only earned. The P-47 around him weighs nearly 8 tons fully loaded. Fuel, armor, ammunition, more of it than seems reasonable. 8 .5 caliber machine guns sit in its wings. Not rifles, not cannons, industrial machinery. Each gun is fed by hundreds of rounds, incendiary, armor-piercing, tracers that burn like meteors in daylight. When they fire together, they don't so much shoot as erase space in front of the aircraft. But that's not what the Germans are thinking about. They see the climb rate, the turn radius, the silhouette. They see a joke. The Luftwaffe leader rolls inverted and dives, using gravity like a weapon. His aircraft screams past Johnson's canopy, close enough that Johnson catches the flash of a yellow nose in the blur of a pilot's helmet. A warning shot, a message. You don't belong here. Johnson banks hard left. The Thunderbolt answers sluggishly, its weight protesting the sudden demand. The German fighter snaps into position behind him almost instantly, just as expected. This is the trap. Every instinct in Johnson's body screams at him to turn tighter, to dogfight like the lighter planes he trained in back home. But instinct is how you die in a P-47. Instead, he does something that looks like panic. He pushes the nose down. The Thunderbolt drops. Wind howls, the engine surges, the airspeed needle spins like it's possessed. The German pilot follows, confident now, smelling blood. He closes the distance, lining up his sights. Too close. Way too close. Johnson levels out suddenly and slams the throttle forward. The massive radial engine responds with brute force. The P-47 doesn't dance, it charges. The German overshoots. For half a second, the sky goes quiet. That's all Johnson needs. He squeezes the trigger. The Thunderbolt convulses. 8 machine guns erupt at once, their recoil shuddering through the wings like hammer blows. The sound is a deep, ripping thunder, lower and more violent than anything the German pilots have ever heard. Streams of tracer rounds leap forward, converging into a single incandescent path. It's not a burst, it's a storm. The German fighter flies straight into it. Metal peels away, panels disintegrate, the engine cowling vanishes in a flash of sparks and smoke. For a fraction of a second, the aircraft seems frozen. Then it folds in on itself, snapping into pieces that tumble end over end toward the earth. The laughter dies instantly. The remaining German pilots break formation, shock punching through discipline. This was not supposed to happen. The fat American was supposed to turn, to bleed energy, to be slow. Instead, it just killed one of them in a single pass. Johnson doesn't chase. He climbs. The Thunderbolt surges upward, using speed like stored energy, trading it for altitude with brutal efficiency. The Germans try to follow and immediately feel the difference. Their engines strain, their climb falters. The big American keeps going, up and up and up, and suddenly the roles are reversed. High above the battlefield, the sky feels different now. The Germans are no longer laughing. They are calculating, reassessing. For the first time, they are afraid, not of the pilot, but of the machine he's flying. A machine they misunderstood, a weapon they dismissed. Johnson checks his gauges, ammunition remaining, engine temperature, oil pressure. Everything is still in the green. Below him, the Germans regroup, circling warily, unsure whether to disengage or try again. They have learned one lesson. They are about to learn another. The Germans don't leave. That's the mistake. At 26,000 feet, the air is thin enough to punish hesitation. Engines wheeze, controls stiffen. Every maneuver costs more than it gives back. And now, circling wide beneath Captain Johnson's Thunderbolt, the remaining Luftwaffe pilots are fighting something far worse than an enemy aircraft. They're fighting doubt. They saw what happened to their wingman. Not rumors, not post-mission reports. They watched a fighter disintegrate in front of them, erased in a single firing pass. No prolonged dogfight, no graceful exchange of turns, just violence, sudden and final. That's not how air combat is supposed to work. German doctrine prizes elegance, precision, the clean geometry of angles and energy. But what they just witnessed was something else entirely. Crude, industrial, overwhelming, American. Inside his cockpit rolls his shoulders to keep the blood flowing. The cold gnaws through layers of wool and leather. His fingers ache, his jaws tight, not with fear, but with focus. He knows what they're thinking. They believe they can still win if they play it smart, if they avoid head-on passes, if they bleed him slowly. They still think this is a dogfight. It isn't. The P-47 was never meant to dance. It was meant to hit. One of the German pilots commits first. He climbs aggressively, trying to drag Johnson into a turning fight where lighter wings and tighter circles might matter. The maneuver is textbook, clean, confident, professional. Johnson lets him have it. He pitches up just enough to sell the illusion, the Thunderbolt groaning as if it's finally reaching its limit. The German closes in, his nose steady, gun sight centered. And then Johnson brakes hard right and dives again. The German follows because that's what training demands. Gravity takes over. The Thunderbolt accelerates like a falling anvil. Wind shrieks, the altimeter spins, the airframe trembles, but it holds. This aircraft was built for this, built to dive faster than anything else in the sky and live to tell about it. The German fighter begins to compress, control surfaces lose authority, the pilot fights the stick, sweat freezing on his neck despite the altitude. Johnson pulls out first. The German doesn't. When he finally levels off, he's too low, too fast, and too close. Johnson fires a short burst, just a taste. Tracers rip past the German canopy, hammering into the wing root. The aircraft lurches, trailing smoke, not dead, but wounded. Enough. The German peels away, desperate now, heading east toward friendly airspace. Johnson doesn't pursue. He looks up instead. Another threat is already diving. This one is smarter. The second German comes in from above and behind, sun at his back. Johnson only sees him because of a flicker, movement where there shouldn't be any.
Instinct kicks in, but it's an instinct forged by experience, not panic. Johnson doesn't turn. He rolls inverted. For a split second, the sky flips, earth above, blue below. Then the Thunderbolt plunges again, straight through the German's firing solution. Cannon shells pass harmlessly behind him, close enough that Johnson feels, not hears, their passage. The German tries to follow. Again and again, the Thunderbolt accelerates beyond expectation. Johnson pulls up into a climbing spiral, not tight, not elegant, just relentless. The German sticks with him for 3 turns, engine screaming, before physics asserts itself. The Luftwaffe fighter stalls. Just for a moment, just long enough. Johnson yaws left and fires. This time, he doesn't let go of the trigger. The guns hammer until the ammunition counter ticks down and the German aircraft erupts in flame. The pilot bails out, too low. His parachute blossoms, then collapses as fire catches the canopy. Johnson watches for half a second. Then he looks away. The sky is suddenly empty. No more attacks, no more mockery. The last German pilot has broken off entirely, disappearing into cloud cover without a backward glance. The fight is over, but the realization is only just begun. Johnson levels out and climbs back toward his formation. The bomber stream is still there, vast, slow, vulnerable. Silver aircraft in disciplined boxes, contrails slicing the sky like chalk lines. This is why the Thunderbolt exists, not to duel for honor, but to protect. Below him, rail yards burn, factories smolder, the machinery of war grinds on, indifferent to individual bravery. And somewhere on the ground, German officers will soon ask a question they've avoided until now. What exactly is that American fighter? Because it is not what they thought. Back at Luftwaffe bases that evening, the mood is different. No jokes, no easy confidence. Pilots speak in quieter voices. They describe an aircraft that doesn't turn, but doesn't need to. A fighter that shrugs off damage and dives like it's falling through space itself. A machine that doesn't spray bullets. It delivers mass. 8 guns, thousands of rounds, 1 pass. Commanders listen. Some dismiss it as exaggeration. Others don't. Orders change. Engagement rules tighten. Avoid prolonged pursuit. Avoid diving after it. Never underestimate it. The laughter is gone, replaced with something far more dangerous. Respect. High above Europe, Johnson flies on, unaware of the ripples he's helped create. He checks his fuel, his ammo, his engine. Still flying, still alive. And somewhere ahead, more German pilots are climbing to meet him, still convinced, despite everything, that they can handle a Thunderbolt. They're wrong. They just don't know how wrong yet. March 8th, 1944, 10:41 a.m. The bomber stream reaches the target. Far below, flak begins to bloom. Black, violent flowers exploding in disciplined patterns. Each burst is calculated, measured. German gunners walking their fire upward, probing for altitude, timing, weakness. From above, it looks almost beautiful. From inside a cockpit, it feels like being hunted. Captain Johnson slides his Thunderbolt into position on the bomber's high flank, where the air is rough and the visibility brutal. This is where fighters die.
caught between ground fire and interceptors, forced to choose which threat will kill them. The P-47 does not choose, it endures. The first shells burst close enough to rock the aircraft. Shrapnel clattered against the fuselage like handfuls of gravel. Johnson flinches despite himself, then forces his breathing slow. Check engine, still running. Check wings, still there. The Thunderbolt was built with armor plating around the cockpit, self-sealing fuel tanks, redundant systems, features derided by European designers as unnecessary weight, until the first hit lands. Then weight becomes survival. They come again. This time, not 3 fighters, 8. They break through the clouds in a loose line abreast formation, sunlight flashing off their wings. Messerschmitts, Focke-Wulfs, veterans, men who've survived long enough to know that fear doesn't save you, action does. No hesitation. They split immediately, some diving for the bombers, others angling toward the escorts. Johnson sees the intent and reacts instantly. He pushes forward, not down, forward, straight at them. The head-on pass is the most dangerous maneuver in air combat. Closure speeds exceed 600 miles per hour. There's no time to correct mistakes, no room for second guesses. German pilots love it. They assume the Thunderbolt will blink. It doesn't. Johnson steadies the nose, sight picture tightening as the distance collapses from a mile to a few hundred yards in seconds. He can see the enemy pilot's face now, goggles, scarves snapping in the wind. At 800 yards, the German opens fire. At 600, Johnson does too. The sky detonates. Tracers from both aircraft streak past, crossing like comets. Johnson holds the trigger longer than feels sane. The Thunderbolt bucks violently, but the guns stay aligned, converging exactly where his sight tells them to.
The German fighter explodes mid-air. Not burns, explodes. The blast buffets Johnson's aircraft, debris clanging off the wings. He punches through the fireball and keeps flying, heart hammering, ears ringing. One down. No time to count the rest. The formation shatters. German pilots scatter, abandoning their coordinated attack in favor of survival. Some dive, some climb. One pulls up sharply, trying to drag Johnson into a vertical fight. Johnson accepts. He hauls back on the stick, and the Thunderbolt climbs, not gracefully, but powerfully, engine bellowing like a living thing. The German's aircraft falters first. It always does. At the top of the climb, Johnson rolls and drops his nose. The German is right there. Too close. Johnson fires. The left wing disappears. A cannon shell slams into Johnson's aircraft. The cockpit fills with smoke, and the Thunderbolt lurches violently. Warning lights flash. The engine coughs, then roars back to life. Johnson doesn't look at the damage. He feels it. The controls are heavier now. The aircraft lists slightly left. Somewhere behind him, fuel vapor hisses where it shouldn't. He's hit, badly, and the Germans know it. 2 fighters converge. This is the moment they've been waiting for. The crippled escort, the wounded giant, the kill. Johnson dives. The Thunderbolt responds, gathering speed despite the damage. The Germans follow eagerly, convinced the advantage has finally shifted. At 15,000 feet, Johnson pulls out. The left wing shudders, but holds. At 10,000, the Germans close in, guns blazing. Johnson rolls, fires. The sky fills with lead. One German breaks away, trailing smoke. The other presses in, stubborn, determined. Johnson keeps firing until the guns fall silent. Click, empty. For the first time all morning, the Thunderbolt is unarmed. The German pilot realizes it instantly. He moves in for the kill. Johnson has nothing left but speed, altitude, and a damaged aircraft that weighs more than most tanks. He points the nose down and dives straight towards the earth. Faster, faster. The German follows, because they always do. And that decision will decide everything.
March 8, 1944, 10:47 a.m. The earth rushes up like a wall. Johnson's altimeter spins so fast it's useless. The wind noise climbs from a howl to a scream, then to something beyond sound. Pressure crushing against the canopy, pinning him into the seat. The Thunderbolt is no longer flying, it's falling. Past 400 miles per hour, then more. The control stick vibrates violently in his hands. The left wing, already damaged, shudders as if it might shear clean off. Any tighter pull and the aircraft will disintegrate. Any looser and he won't recover in time. Behind him, the German stays locked in, because this is what German fighters are built for: speed, precision, aggression, and because the pilot believes with absolute certainty that the American is finished. No guns, damaged wing, straight down. It's over. Johnson doesn't look back. He counts. Not seconds, heartbeats. The Thunderbolt passes through 20,000 feet, 15,000. The air thickens, the controls firm slightly. The engine, miraculously, keeps pulling. The massive radio, built for punishment, refuses to quit. At 12,000 feet, Johnson pulls, gently, carefully. The aircraft groans like a wounded animal. The left wing dips, then steadies. Rivets scream. The airframe flexes beyond anything engineers ever intended. But it holds. The Thunderbolt begins to level out. The German does not. At this speed, there is no margin. The German pilot yanks back too hard, too late. His aircraft compresses violently, control surfaces locking as the air turns solid around him. He tries to roll out. The wings snap instead. The fighter disintegrates in a blur of metal and flame, scattering debris across the countryside below. Johnson flies through the wreckage, still alive, still flying. Silence floods the cockpit. No gunfire, no pursuit, just the steady roar of the engine and the hiss of air slipping past damaged metal. Johnson forces himself to breathe, hands trembling now that the immediate danger has passed. He checks his instruments. Fuel leaking, but not catastrophically. Oil pressure low, but stable. Engine temperature high, but within limits. The Thunderbolt is wounded, but it's alive. Johnson climbs again, slower this time, coaxing the battered aircraft upward. The bomber stream is already turning for home, bomb bays empty, formations ragged but intact. They made it, because the escorts held, because the Thunderbolt held.
Back at base hours later, ground crews gather around Johnson's aircraft in stunned silence. The damage is unbelievable. More than 200 holes punched through wings and fuselage, entire sections of control surface shredded, the left wing nearly torn apart, held together by little more than stubborn engineering and sheer luck. A mechanic shakes his head. Another runs a hand along the scarred aluminum skin. No European fighter should have survived this. No aircraft should have survived this. Word spreads. Fast. Pilots from other squadrons come to see it. They touch the holes, count them, argue over how it's even possible. Some laugh, short, disbelieving bursts. Others go quiet, realizing what this means. The Thunderbolt isn't just tough, it's forgiving. It lets pilots make mistakes and live long enough to learn from them. That changes everything. Across the lines, German intelligence officers piece together combat reports. Multiple fighters lost, no confirmed Thunderbolt kills, escort effectiveness increasing, bomber losses decreasing. The conclusion is unavoidable. This aircraft, the one they mocked, is not a liability. It is a problem, a big one. And the Americans aren't done with it yet. They're about to take the Thunderbolt down low, where its guns, its armor, and its sheer brutality will reshape the war on the ground as well as in the air. The The Germans laughed at it in the stratosphere. They're about to fear it in the treetops.
Late spring 1944, northern France, dawn. The Thunderbolts come in low. So low that dew still clings to the hedgerows. So low that startled cattle scattered beneath the roar. The sound hits the ground first, a deep, rolling thunder that doesn't fade, doesn't pass overhead, just grows louder until it feels like the sky itself is collapsing. German troops know that sound now. They don't look up anymore. They dive. Captain Johnson is no longer alone. Dozens of P-47s sweep forward in loose, lethal formations, wings heavy with bombs, rockets, and ammunition. The same aircraft once dismissed as too bulky for air combat now carries more ordnance than some light bombers and moves faster than anything meant to stop it. This is not finesse warfare. This is punishment. A German truck column snakes along a narrow road below, engines humming, drivers unaware until it's too late. Johnson rolls in first, nose dropping, airspeed climbing. At 1,500 feet, he opens fire. The 850s speak again, but down here, their effect is horrifyingly clear. Trucks burst apart, engines detonate, ammunition cooks off in secondary explosions that flip vehicles end over end. Johnson releases his bombs and pulls up hard. The blast wave slams into the Thunderbolt, lifting it like a toy. Behind him, another P-47 strafes the wreckage, ensuring nothing moves. The entire attack lasts less than 10 seconds. The road is annihilated. German anti-aircraft crews fire blindly, desperate, but the Thunderbolts are already gone, climbing steeply, engines howling, armor shrugging off small arms fire that would have shredded lighter aircraft. This is the new war, and it terrifies the defenders. By summer, the Thunderbolt has earned another name among German soldiers: Jabo Schreck, fighter-bomber terror. It doesn't circle like Stukas. It doesn't announce itself with sirens. It arrives fast, hits hard, and leaves nothing recognizable behind. Bridges vanish, rail lines twist into useless knots. Armored columns are found days later, burned, abandoned, crews dead without ever seeing their attacker. Johnson watches the ground burn and feels something complicated in his chest. This isn't air combat. There's no duel, no test of skill between equals, just overwhelming force applied with precision and speed. Necessary, brutal, effective. German pilots still try to intercept. They rarely succeed. At low altitude, the Thunderbolt's disadvantages vanish. Its speed, dive performance, and armor turn it into a predator. Attempts to chase it down often end the same way as before: overshoots, high-speed dives, and sudden eruptions of American firepower. The laughter from 1943 feels like a lifetime ago.
After D-Day, the Thunderbolt becomes a flying artillery battery for advancing Allied troops. Infantrymen learn to listen for the thunder, to mark targets with smoke, to trust that when they hear that sound, help is seconds away. German officers write desperate reports. Our movements are impossible by day. The enemy fighter bombers dominate all roads. Losses are unsustainable. They're not exaggerating. Johnson's final missions blur together. Roads, bridges, columns, flak bursts flashing too close for comfort. He brings his aircraft home scarred again and again. Each time, ground crews patch it up. Each time, it flies. The Thunderbolt keeps flying, just like the war keeps grinding forward. By the time the Allies cross the Rhine, the truth is undeniable. The P-47 did not win the war alone, but without it, without its guns, its armor, its refusal to die, the war would have lasted longer, cost more, killed more. The Germans learned that lesson too late. They laughed at the Thunderbolt when it climbed into their sky. They stopped laughing when it followed them down to the ground. High above a battered Europe, the last Thunderbolts turn for home. Wings scarred, ammunition spent. The thunder fades, and for the first time in years, the silence feels permanent.